cocoa butter has got an unstable fat in it, okay? And you need to do a process called tempering. So you melt 2/3 of your chocolate in a plastic bowl in the microwave on high until it reaches between 40 and 45 degrees. Once it's reached that, all the crystals in your chocolate are destabilized, okay? Then you add another 1/3 to your chocolate, and you keep stirring it until it reaches, which is for this temperature, what temperature? Every chocolate varies, 29 to 31? Okay, so you can see my chocolate's quite thick. You can over-temper your chocolate as well, okay? By the end of the day, if you keep stirring and keep stirring, you're generating crystals in your chocolate, and that's what makes it go thick, okay? And we're just going to put it on high, and by waving the hairdryer over the top, it's just going to melt some of the good, the too many good crystals in here. And it's going to make it nice and easy for us to mold. So cocoa butter, PCB make it. This is tempered. I've put it in the microwave until it's reached 35, okay? So you're going to get a brush, and we're just going to dip it in the cocoa butter, and it's very important that it needs to be tempered, okay? Otherwise it will not come out. And we're just going to flick it. So now we want to get rid of that white cocoa butter. Okay, we're just going to scrape the excess off. And then what we're going to do is we're going to fill this. These are special molds, polycarbonate molds, okay? All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to clean the side of our mold and just scrape off all the excess. So now we're going to tap it to get rid of the air bubbles. And then we're going to tip it upside down. So we're going to tip it in and knock all the excess chocolate out. You're creating a coating and you're creating a nice shell.
Nice thin one. Yeah.
Okay, so you can see that. All right. What we're going to do now is we're going to make one of the fillings. We're going to boil our liquid glucose, our passion fruit, and our sorbitol together. Okay, sorbitol helps to bind any water particles in your sugar. And this is the liquid glucose we're going to pop in. So whenever we make a ganache for the inside of our chocolate, what we're going to do is we're going to boil our liquid, and we're going to pour our boiling liquid over our chocolate, okay? You don't melt the two because it's going to get too hot, and the chances of you splitting it are a lot higher, okay? Invert sugar, if you boil invert sugar, you lose the properties of it. So we'll always add our invert sugar. If it gets above 70, you may as well just not use it because it's lost all its properties, okay? So we're going to put that in there. We're going to add our butter, unsalted butter for this instance. Okay, and our sorbitol we're going to boil.
And this we can leave out, you said, if we don't have.
Yeah, if you don't have it, you don't. Yeah. Your sugar is turned into caramel, you'll add your liquid glucose, and then you'll add your other ingredients, your passion fruit puree, your butter and everything else, and you'll boil that to 110 degrees, okay? So here we go. We are now boiling, and all we do is we're going to pour this over our chocolate. Smell that.
Oh, it's
smells
perfume,
good, doesn't it?
Passion fruit.
Okay, you'd all be really tempted to stir it. Just leave it like that for a couple of minutes, okay?
Why not stir it?
If you stir it, all the heat's going to go, okay? And you're not going to have any heat left in there to mix it up. Let's see how this mold is doing. Okay, so here we are. We'll pick it up, and you can see that it's got a nice thin shell, okay? We need to now go and scrape all these molds like this, so when we cap it off, we haven't got any excess chocolate on the top. And they might fall out now because they've been in the fridge, okay? We're going to half fill our caramel mixture in here. Caramel takes too long to cool, so we're going to pipe this one. I'm going to put the bar mix in it. So you can see, I'll show you in a minute. Okay, so as you can see here, it's really runny, okay, but this is going to make a beautiful ganache. So you can see it's nice and shiny. And we're going to pipe this into the mold. You need to make sure that your chocolate, your filling, is no hotter than 28 degrees, okay? So we're going to fill this just before we get to the top, okay? Okay, so here you are. If you look at your mold like that, you should not see any chocolate over the top, okay? If you do, when you cap it off, there's going to be problems, all right? You need to let this sit overnight, but I've already prepared one for you. And if you see, on this chocolate, if you touch it, it's nice and firm. If you try and cap that off, we call it capping off when you put chocolate over the top. If you try and cap that off now, it's going to be a disaster, okay? Because it's, you know, all the runny ganache inside will come out as you put the chocolate on, and it'll just make such a mess. Chocolate will not, this melted chocolate will not stick to that. So what we need to do again is get our hairdryer, and we're just going to wave it over the front, just so until you can see it starting to melt, okay? We're then going to get some chocolate, okay, and pop it on the top. Just drive all the bubbles out, because you don't want any bubbles in, okay? Give it a wee tap again. And then we're going to scrape them off. And what we have over here is some chocolate transfer paper. All this is cocoa butter that's been silk screened onto this plastic, and we're going to put it on, and we're going to put this transfer sheet over and scrape the excess chocolate off. So when we turn it out, we've got a nice, like I said, fancy bottom.
Nice.
A little bit more chocolate. You don't want too much for this, okay? Like I said, you need to work with chocolate between 12 and 16 degrees. Anything higher, it's easy for your chocolate to bloom, okay? So you're going to put it on, and you're just going to get your scraper and scrape it off. So you can see what a mess this makes. Oh dear, no. Okay, so we need to scrape all the excess off, okay? And then we need to let this sit like this overnight, okay? Okay, so we'll pop this in the fridge, okay? And this one hasn't got a fancy bottom, but it's got a shiny bottom, okay? I've just pulled the plastic off, and what we're going to do is we're just going to give it a little twist. It's a little bit warm, and we'll just turn it upside down, and they should just come out, okay?